Hello and welcome to the Jefferson Madrigs Fantasy Podcast, the pod on a mission to normalise 8-team leagues. I'm Pete McManus and I'm joined by Ian Harrison and Hallam Monk. Good evening.
Good evening.
How's it going, guys?
Wonderful. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, yeah.
All good. I just can't. We were talking before we came on air. Can't get over the fact that I've been in 2 slow draft fantasy leagues in the last week. That someone's left because they were too slow for them. So
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. If you join a league and it is a slow draft with an 8-hour clock, don't be moaning that it's too slow when the average pick time is 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And we are 13 rounds in.
I've just finished my FFCC. Shout out to Murph and the 5-yard rush team. I've just finished my FFCC. It took 3 weeks. Took just over 3 weeks. So which is slow, and obviously that's best balls. So there's a lot more rounds that you've got to go through. It was slow, but at no point did I think, God, they need to get on with this, because the season's still a month away from starting. So we've got all the time in the world.
My only thinking is the guy that's left. The guy that's left must have his home league drafting tomorrow, and he can't do 2 things at once. There's no multitasking.
Yeah. We've got our big draft tomorrow. And
we have.
We're not leaving any drafts.
Big things tomorrow.
How are you feeling? Have you got all your plans, everything sorted?
Well, we've had one of our big ones, haven't we, with the other lads? And then this one's the second home draft. So I'm excited. It's going to be good to see everyone as well. And then, I'll just do my normal stuff, pick a winning team, call it a day.
I might quit tomorrow's draft because it's going too fast.
Those 5-minute clocks are going to mess with your head, aren't they?
Just walk out of the pub. No, sorry, lads. I need at least 25 minutes to pick.
The biggest problem we've got tomorrow, or the only thing wrong with tomorrow, is it's going to be cracking the flag, as they say. In that it's supposed to be about 30 degrees, and we've booked the upstairs of a very warm pub.
It's warm up there. That kind of best be on point.
So I think we'll be in that. I don't know if you call it a beer garden, but there will be sat outside until the very last minute, and then rush inside to start drafting. So tonight we are going to go through the wide receiver ADP, and then we're going to go through our predictions for MVP and a few of the other end of season awards, which is massively random, but it's a bit of a laugh. So we thought we'd do that. I don't know about you guys, but I found it a little bit more difficult to move the wide receivers around. My list feels a bit more consensus than my previous 2 lists have. So maybe I needed that. Maybe I needed to take a break from being wild, but there's not a hell of a lot of movement. One's moved down. I've moved a couple in, but generally, not people aren't moving that far away from where ADP says I should take them.
For me, there weren't many that dropped out of the top 15 and came in, but there were some significant movements in terms of people jumping up that I think are going to have.
Okay.
So I've got pretty much around the same 15, but there's been quite some significant movement.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty similar.
We'll start with yours, H, this week.
Yeah. So I think.
Hang on. Before we start with yours, I'll take us through the ADP, shall I?
Do that.
You wouldn't think we'd practice this, and actually I was the best at hosting, would you? So, right. Wide receiver ADP. Number 1, Jamar Chase. Number 2, Justin Jefferson. Number 3, CeeDee Lamb. 4 is Amon-Ra. 5 is Puka. 6 is Malik Neighbors. 7 is Nico Collins. 8 is Brian Thomas. 9 is Drake London. 10 is AJ Brown. And then rounding out the top 15, Lad McConkey, Tyreek Hill at 12, Jackson Smith-Njigba at 13, T. Higgins at 14, and Garrett Wilson wraps it up at 15. Now we'll go to H, and he'll give us his 15.
Yeah, so...
Before we do, if you're watching on YouTube, you might just see my kitchen door just open randomly. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you probably should, because I'm currently got a dog wearing the cone of shame.
What's happened to Max?
Oh, he's got a hot spot on his leg that he can't stop licking, so he's having to wear the cone of shame. And he is the saddest dog in the world. So if you're not watching on YouTube, go on to YouTube and you can have a look at my dog.
I know we were looking for a punishment for whoever finishes bottom of one of our fantasy leagues, and that has just given me a really good idea. So,
I love it. I love it.
Keep hold of that.
Oh dear.
Imagine HR next draft with a cone of shame. Getting down to pour a beer in for him. Right. Anyway, we will get to H's list eventually.
Yeah. So
sorry, go on,
number 1, Ja'Marr Chase. Number 2, Justin Jefferson. I don't think there's going to be much change there. Number 3, I've gone Amon-Ra St. Brown. Number 4, I've gone Nico Collins, which is kind of a homer pick, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Number 5, CeeDee Lamb. Number 6, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Number 7 is Puka Nacua. However, at the time for this, is Sam Darnold got injured today? Or have I just seen something that is just completely incorrect? Someone do a Google on that for me. Someone do a Google on that. Number 7, Puka Nacua. Number 8, Malik Neighbors. Number 9, Brian Thomas Jr. Number 10, Ladd McConkey. Number 11, Garrett Wilson. Number 12, I've got Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 13, Drake London. Number 14, AJ Brown. And number 15 is my little bit of a wild card for top 15, which is Cortland Sutton, who finished 15 last year, so it's not that wild. I do have one that could easily break it, depending on his contract situation, which is Terry McLaurin, and then my absolute wild card. And I've spoke about it a little bit, and I'm probably going to do it in a little bit as well. But Ricky Pearsall as somebody that could surprise everyone.
Just run me back through 11 to 15 because I was Googling Sam Darnold for you, which I can't find any information. So I think
I must have been me just before it. I was flicking and I saw pictures of Sam Darnold in grey, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he's hurt himself, but no, he's not, so that doesn't change my thinking. 11, Garrett Wilson. 12, Marvin Harrison Jr. 13, Drake London. 14, AJ Brown. And 15, Cortland Sutton.
Okay, so we'll start with Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra surprised me.
At 3.
I mean, he's only up 1, I suppose. Yeah. But I've moved him down slightly. What's your thinking with Amon-Ra? Because it worries me that they're just not going to be as explosive as they were last year.
I just think he's got a really good connection with Goff. I'm quite high on Goff. I'm quite high on the Lions. I know that the I can't remember his name, Ben Johnson leaving does play a huge part, but I think they've got really good chemistry there. Amon-Ra is a weapon that is used often. He gets a lot of catches. It's not really close to second. Like you see a lot of like wide receiver 2s. So T. Higgins is ADP 14. He doesn't have that with Jameson Williams or Sam Laporta, although they're very good players and they are really reliable targets. I think there's a massive difference between sort of somebody like a Jameson Williams to a T. Higgins, a Devonta Smith, and that for me plays a huge part. I think Amon-Ra is going to have a big year again. He had a big year last year. I think he's going to have another really good year this year. And I think the Lions are. I think the Lions may be a little bit tighter in games, which means that they could rely on wide receivers a little bit more to move the chains rather than just we're 20 points up, let's just run David Montgomery into the ground.
That was a more factual, well put together answer than I hate CeeDee Lamb, which is basically what we thought it was. So no. So the CeeDee Lamb dropping. So I've got Nico Collins moving up 1. It's similar to the Amon-Ra. I think he's essentially the only receiver at the Texans that is sort of ready-made, set, reliable right now. We don't know what Jaden Higgins is going to be. Christian Kirk's had
injuries the last 2 years, and we don't know what Jalen Knoll is going to be. So the only sure factor is that Nico Collins is going to be the wide receiver one there. The CeeDee Lamb dropping down to is purely because of George Pickens, because I think George Pickens is a good wide receiver. And I think because of that, he may take some of the target share away from CeeDee. And that's the only reason he's dropping. But it wouldn't surprise me to see CeeDee at even 2, to be honest. I've never, as we know, I've never been keen on Dak Prescott. I've never been keen on CeeDee Lamb. And I just think I think the George Pickens coming in may take some targets away from him, and he may drop a little bit.
So did you only have one dropping out of the 15 then?
2. I had Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins.
Okay. And who's coming in? Cortland Sutton and
Marvin Harrison Jr. at 12.
Okay.
And
yeah, I think Cortland Sutton's a little bit overlooked, to be honest, in where he's going, because they had such a good, and I don't know whether they've just improved the running game. Maybe people are expecting Bo Nix not to be as good as last year, although I think he will push on and possibly be better than he was in the majority of last year. Yeah, I think Cortland Sutton's a good pick. He could potentially break into the top 15.
He was 15 last year, and like a lot of people don't realise that he was just a very consistent player all year round. And you look at the Broncos wide receiver room, it's another one where realistically there isn't much else other than Cortland Sutton. There's a couple of players that could break out and could be better, but again, you don't. Right now, they aren't, and they haven't broken out, and I think that's why Cortland Sutton just sneaks in there for me.
Ian, any thoughts?
I get the point about Cortland Sutton, and Pete, you asked us to pick a couple of wild cards outside the top 20 that could potentially break the top 15, and Cortland Sutton was one of them. I wouldn't be as confident as H as to put him straight in at 15. I'm happy having him as a wild card, but I don't think he'll finish in the top 15. I think there's a chance, but I wouldn't put him down as a lock like H has done. But I'd be interested to know why H is fading Drake London, because he's dropped Drake London down from 9 to 13.
Yeah.
Is this because Kyle Pitts is having a breakout year?
Kyle Pitts breakout year. I've seen a highlight. He caught a touchdown. Kyle Pitts is going to be target 1 there this year. No. It's weird. It's one of them where because I'm so high on Bijan that I think it does affect what the Falcons. Well, it doesn't. I think Bijan's going to have a huge year, which I think is going to mean that the Falcons are going to try and run the ball a little bit more, go through him a little bit more. Not only that, there was at times last year where Darnell Mooney looked quite good. He was never going to be the wide receiver 1 there, but there's a lot to like about Darnell Mooney as a lower, like late round pick where you could maybe stash him. And I think something like that, you could see him getting a little bit more of a target share because he has become a little bit more reliable. But also, I just think Drake London's going a little bit high for me. It's not someone that I'd be comfortable taking at his ADP. And I think that kind of shows with me dropping him down. I think there's a few receivers that are just behind him that are, in my opinion, a little bit better than him.
That's fair enough.
I have no idea what to do with Drake London. He's one of those. He doesn't fall to me in many drafts because similarly, where he's going, there's just a couple of people around him that I like AJ Brown is going 1 space behind him. I'd rather take AJ Brown, but I can see how Drake London can be a top 5 wide receiver. So it's that difficulty when I just don't know when I'm ever gonna pull the trigger and actually draft him, but. I can see it happening. The 3 games he played with Michael Penix last year, I think he was averaging 13 targets a game. It's like if that's not going to that's unsustainable across the year. But even if it's 10 plus, 10, 11 targets a game, That's ridiculous. Like, and he's good. He's a bloody good player, Drake London. And with that amount of targets, it's just whether the touchdowns will be there.
Yeah, and Penix is the type of quarterback that will just sling it. And if he finds a connection with London, he's just going to spam him.
Yeah, I think maybe Penix is the question mark more than Drake London for me, because it's easy to just kind of go, he had 3 good games. The Falcons he had 3 impressive games, and the Falcons seem to just be like, yeah, that's our quarterback for the next 15 years. I'm like, do we not want to see a little bit more than 3 games against the Panthers and the Giants and somebody else? Like, I think he could. He's got a lot of swagger to him. The Falcons seem to have a bit of swagger to them, just on the basis that they played reasonably well at the end of the year, and it could all come crashing down around them within 2 or 3 weeks at the start of September. But we'll see.
You've got to remember as well, though, the Falcons started something like, was it 5-1 or 5-2 last year, something like that. They were right up there, and they fell obviously once Kirk got injured. I think one of the other things about Penix, which makes it quite interesting, is he does have quite a big upside in rushing ability, which we didn't really get to see last year. And I think that could be quite an interesting part of the Falcons' offense this year if they decide to do it. I don't think he'll have any kind of designed runs, but I think he may start trusting himself a little bit more to get out the pocket and scramble and just pick up those yards. So I'm quite interested in the Falcons this year, as obviously last week proved, with my prediction that they're going to win the division. But I think there's a lot of really good pieces there, and it's just whether or not they can all gel. And that was a little bit of the reason why I think Drake London's gone down a little bit, is I think there's a few other pieces that could take targets and whatnot from him, especially Kyle Pitts.
I can't wait any longer without hearing who Ian's got at one. So
it's Jefferson.
It won't surprise anyone, but it's Ja'Marr Chase. That's why
I'm disappointed.
How did you come up with that?
I was waiting for a bombshell.
I know. My genius knows no bounds. Who'd have thought? But from here on in, the ADP, I don't follow it. So I've got CD Lamb at 2.
Okay.
And I've got Jefferson at 3. The JJ McCarthy thing. Jefferson will come out of the gates flying for the 3 games that Jordan Addison's banned for. I also think that TJ Hockenson is going to come out of the gates flying for the first 3 weeks. But then I see Jefferson tailing off, depending on JJ McCarthy. He's a big risk, and reports aren't great coming out of Minnesota right now about him. I have agreed with H, and I have pushed Nico Collins up to 4, which is where I let H had him. I've then gone with Ladd McConkey at 5, which H will also like, followed by another one of H's guys as Jackson, Smith, and Jigba at 6. The move of DK Metcalf, I know Cooper Kupp's gone there to replace DK Metcalf, but Cooper Kupp isn't the player that DK is. And JSN is on for a mega year, I think. I've then got Drake London, up 7, which is contrary to what H thinks.
No, maybe not.
I know, mate. I know. Sorry. I've got Neighbours down at 8. I've dropped Amon-Ra St. Brown down to 9 from 4, which I think is the biggest drop I've got. It's the same. Actually, it's the same drop as I've got Puka, because I've dropped Puka from 5 to 11. Devontae Adams is going to be a big factor there in the red zone. I've got Brian Thomas Jr. at 12. I've got T. Higgins at 13. Garrett Wilson at 14. And Marvin Harrison Jr. at 15.
Tyreek's out again for you.
He is. I think he's...
Who's the other one that's dropped out? Or is that it?
No, it's just Tyreek. It's just Tyreek that dropped out there for Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm surprised you didn't push T. Higgins up a little bit more.
I wanted to be realistic with it.
Okay.
So I was thinking about it, and I looked at Ja'Marr Chase at 1, and I thought T. Higgins could be 2 here. And I thought, no one will have that.
What, and Chase Brown's RB? What did you have him at? RB6.
Chase Brown was he was high. I think I had him at 8.
Hey,
Mate,
I had him higher than you, didn't I?
I wouldn't necessarily have believed your rankings, but I would have had a lot more respect for you if you'd put T Higgins at 2. So if you just got Jamar Chase, T Higgins, 1, 2, and then drop Nico Collins out of the list completely.
Forget everyone else.
So I suppose the two we need to talk about from your list, and I'll give you a bit of a insight into mine. Lad and JSN don't go up in mine; they go the other way. So that's quite. So we've gone quite differently. So we obviously look at those two players quite differently. My opinion on Lad McConkey is, I think he's a good player. I think they want to run the ball though. They want to run the ball. I like Herbert, and there's no doubt about that. Now they brought Keenan Allen in. And Keenan Allen's not washed up. He was a good player for the Bears last year, and I just think I just can't see him breaking the top 10. And well, all being said, I can't see him breaking the top 15. If I'm honest, as you'll find out in a minute. So I think I still think he's going to be a top 20 wide receiver. I just don't think he's going to be anywhere near as high as his ADP. And he's dropped in a few leagues, and I have drafted him in a few leagues because I do think he's a really good player, and I like Herbert. But I think there's so many other options there. They're gonna want to run the ball, and they're gonna want to play defense. And I just don't think that he's gonna need to throw it as much as he might have done at times last year.
Okay, fair point.
You obviously see it differently.
Yeah, I do see it differently. I think, Keenan Allen's gone there. He's not going to demand the volume. Lad McConkey is going to be wide receiver 1. Teams are now going to have to account for a Keenan Allen on the other side rather than a Quentin Johnston, who you can just leave completely unmarked, knowing full well that he's going to shell it. So Lad McConkey's going to have more time, he's going to have more space. Teams aren't going to be able to double team him as much as they did last year because Keenan Allen will take some of that attention away. The fact that they're not really invested in a tight end as well. I know they drafted one, but no one's picking him up for fantasy purposes. They have invested in Najee Harris and they drafted running backs. How much game time is Najee Harris going to see? Do we trust a rookie running back to be a bell cow for the Chargers in the NFL in his first season?
You and your
potentially
puns.
not. What?
I heard that pun. Then don't try and pretend that you didn't drop that in on purpose.
Genuine.
We don't know how much Najee Harris is going to see. Come on, man.
Totally unintentional. Didn't mean it.
Yeah. Don't like him.
We don't know how much game time Najee Harris is actually going to get. And if they drafted him for a reason, the intention is to actually get him involved. But while he's injured, if he starts at week 1 or if he's fit at some point, rookie running backs, I'm not trusting it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like McConkey has proven he can do it already. Justin Herbert loves him. Keenan Allen will take attention away from him because he's not Quentin Johnston. And I think McConkey's going to find himself more open this year.
I have to agree with that. I'm not as high as you are. Like I've got him down at 10, which is I think it's a little bit higher on his ADP. I agree kind of with what you're saying, but one of the big things about Lad McConkey is he's got all three sort of short routes, intermediate routes, and deep routes. He can play all three, which makes him such a better target. Whereas I think Keenan Allen, as good as he has been for many years, I think he's only a short game now. So on those plays where you need a little bit more development, you're going to see Lad McConkey get the ball a lot more because someone like a Quentin Johnston isn't going to be on the field because of Keenan Allen. So I was high on Lad coming out of college, and you two laughed at me how much I enjoyed him. But he is terrific, and I can see him having a really big year again this year. I think he's going to make a little bit of a better jump, and I think he's going to be. I think the fact that Justin Herbert can rely on him is a huge part of that as well.
Yeah, I think you're both forgetting how much of a connection Herbert and Keenan Allen had just 2 years ago. But we'll see. This is the point of this. It's all about opinions. Speaking of which, at number 1, I've got CeeDee Lamb.
Apologies, Pete. Before you go on with your nonsense,
Pete, your list's already irrelevant.
My outsider to make it into the top
apologies, yeah.
15. Because I agreed with Asa Colin Sutton has got a chance. But my true outsider is actually Calvin Ridley.
I like Calvin Ridley shout.
Hold up. You've been giving me stick for the best part of 2 weeks about Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, and then you traded him to me, and now I can be honest.
No, not you, Pete.
I haven't given you any stick about Calvin Ridley.
Yes, you have. You called him a washed-up wide receiver. They were your exact words.
Was this to do with a trade?
Pete, you best hope he's not listening. If Calvin Ridley, if you're listening, Pete never said it.
Yeah, he did. I'll put the text out to prove it.
Was I slagging off that trade that you did?
Yeah.
Well, that's
where
where
I was trying to get Chase off Ian, which I successfully managed.
Yeah, because you basically gave him the keys to your house. So
Yeah.
be like,
and
if
my
you
car.
give me Chase, I'll go and live in my car. Right, back to my rankings.
Yes.
CeeDee Lamb at number 1. Now, just to be clear, if I was on the clock at 101, I would take Jamar Chase because he's a safer pick. However, I do think that CeeDee Lamb has a chance of pipping him to 1. And it all comes down to the weapons around them. In that, I think I'm obviously quite high on Dak. I think both teams are going to have to score a lot of points. But I think T. Higgins is a better number 2 than George Pickens is. And I think Chase Brown is better than anything the Cowboys have got in their run game. And I realize that it sounds a little bit out of the realms of what you might believe in terms of Lamb finishing at 1. But Chase won the Triple Crown last year in PPR and scored 402 points, I think. And the year before, CeeDee Lamb scored 403. So it is more than possible that CeeDee Lamb can outscore Jamar Chase. It won't be by a lot. It would be close. But that was my kind of thinking. I think CeeDee Lamb would be my number 1 if I had the balls to take him, which I'd be perfectly honest, if the two of them fell to me in a draft, I would not have the balls to take him. So I would take Jamar Chase every single time. 3, I've got Neighbours. I think the quarterback upgrade there and the lack of any other talent is only going to be a good thing for Neighbours. I've dropped Jefferson down to 4, which is purely because I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy. I've moved Nico up to 5. I have dropped Amon-Ra down to 6. I've moved Brian Thomas up 1. He's at 7. AJ Brown is up to 8. Drake London, I've just left at 9 because, as previously discussed, I don't know what to do with Drake London. So 9 feels about right for him. Hooker is the one I'm seriously worried about in the top 10. He drops from 5 to 10. So he's the biggest drop within the top 15. I have moved T. Higgins up because, as discussed, I think he's a good number 2 and I think they will score a lot of points. So I've moved him up to 11. I've got Garrett Wilson at 12. And then I've got 3 that were outside the 15. So I've got Marv at 13, which moves him up 3 spaces. I've got DK Metcalf at 14, which moves him up 7 spaces. And I've got Jalen Waddle at 15, which moves him up 15.
Is this because you think he's getting traded to the Commanders or what?
No, I just think I think the Dolphins have got to work something out. You know, I'm a Jalen Waddle fan, and even if they're not a very good team, they are going to score points, and they can't go into this year with Tua just dumping it off to Achane every single time like they did last year. Johnny Smith's gone. Everybody else on this podcast seems to think Tyreek's like washed. I still think Tyreek's a really good player. I just don't think his head's in the right place. He seems adamant, and the team don't seem to be getting on with him. And I think there's an opportunity for this to be Jalen Waddle's year where he steps up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not both have the Dolphins finishing last in the division?
Yeah.
So you don't think the Dolphins are actually going to work it out, which means that Jalen Waddle isn't really going to do that much.
No, they've still got to score. Every team scores points, Ian.
I never put Jalen Waddle in my top 15, though.
No, but what I'm saying, you had the Dolphins finishing dead last in their division.
Yeah. I also made a huge error with that
so they're not
statement.
going to work it out.
Yeah.
We're not going to go through all of your errors, H. We haven't got the time.
I had the yeah, but to be fair,
I just
I don't know
completely
if-
forgot the. I said something like the secondary is absolutely awful. Completely forgetting that they've got one of the best safeties in the league just traded to them, but they
fair,
still don't have. Yeah,
to be fair
they
to
still
my
don't have
list,
cornerbacks.
and I don't know if this is the defense or not. Yes, I've got Jalen Waddle finishing 15th for the bottom place team in the AFC East, but I've also got Drake London finishing 9th for what I think, or at least the second bottom team. Maybe I don't think I put him bottom behind the Saints. And I've also got Nico Collins up at 5th for the bottom team of the AFC South. So it's not that you can't score points for crap teams. It's just that it's a different game, isn't it? So that's my list, yeah. So the people who drop out, people who drop out for me, and like I say, I think Ladd just finishes a bit lower than his ADP. The same with JSN. I don't trust Sam Darnold, and I don't really understand what the plan is there between him and Cooper Kupp, because they feel like they want to play in the same part of the field. So that I feel like they're going to have to move them around. I'm not saying Cooper Kupp's anywhere near the player he was, but something worries me about that situation. And Tyreek, I think something's going to go wrong there, and I don't think he'll be on the Dolphins come trade deadline.
Let's talk about DK Metcalf.
Okay.
Because we say all the time the Steelers want to run the ball. They've got 2 top 16 tight ends. They're going to play a load of 12 personnel with Freiermuth and Johnny Smith. They've traded for Johnny Smith, giving him quite a bit of money as well. How much do you think DK is actually going to get? Bearing in mind the Steelers are trying to also get Terry McLaurin in.
If they got Terry McLaurin in, I'd change my opinion and I'd move him down. But on the current depth chart, I don't see anybody beyond DK Metcalf. And I think the thing with Aaron Rodgers is if he does find a receiver and just sort of go, right, well, you're my guy, I'm just gonna hone in on you. And I think
but that receiver might as well be Calvin Austin. Like we don't know how Aaron Rodgers' mind works.
No, I mean Garrett Wilson finished as what wide receiver 10 last year or 11, depending on your format. And once Davante Adams got over there, he was out. I think Davante Adams was basically outscoring Garrett Wilson once he got there. So it's like he can just in a not. I mean, Davante Adams finished at 11 in PPR, so they both. In theory, he had 2 top 11 wide receivers last year on the Jets that weren't very good. And I just look at the Steelers, and yes, they will want to run the ball, and yes, I don't like Arthur Smith, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to throw that ball to DK Metcalf 10 to 12 times a game. Even if they're the only 10 to 12 times he throws the ball, I think they're all going to go to DK Metcalf. And I think that he's just going to put up enough points. And we've seen with the Steelers, as much as I don't rate them, as much as I don't really understand what they're doing, they will finish 9-8 or 8-9, and probably 9-8. And to do that, you're going to have to score points, and you're going to have to score touchdowns. And I think DK Metcalf's probably on for double figures in touchdowns.
Well, I think Steelers can do that without conceding a lot of points like that. Like they're traditionally, and since day one, the Steelers' defense is how they win games. And like last year, Chris Boswell was one of their top scorers. The Steelers win games without scoring a lot of points.
There is that, yeah.
So if DK is going to finish in the top 15 without scoring a lot of points, he is going to have to get an incredible amount of targets, which I don't think he'll do in an Art Smith offense.
I think he's the only, especially on the outside, he's the only like real weapon that they have. As good as Freiermuth is and as good as Johnny Smith is, they're not DK Metcalf. And I think one of the problems that probably the Steelers are going to get is they do need somebody else, and I don't think they've quite got that. That's why I'm not as high on DK, because I think it's going to be let's run it first and let's try and throw it to DK. And I think a lot of defenses are going to realize that that is what they're going to do. And I think that is going to play a huge part. I'm one of these people that does I always look at like a wide receiver 1, and I will tend to pick them over like a very good wide receiver 2. But in DK's or where DK is getting drafted, I would rather pick up one of the better wide receiver twos. I understand what you're saying, Pete. Like, it's got to go. He is going to have to throw the ball, and it is going to go to DK. I just don't know whether there's going to be enough ball thrown.
Yeah, I think the other thing with that is, and a big thing will come down to, Ian's right on the defense. You made some good points as well, H. A lot of that's going to come down to whether Aaron Rodgers does what Arthur Smith tells him to, or whether Aaron Rodgers does that for about 20 minutes and then goes, nah, I'm going to do what I want to do, and changes it and stuff. Because let's face it, Aaron Rodgers has gone there to win games. He wants to finish on a reasonable high. He doesn't want to get to the end of the game having won 14-10 and thrown for 112 yards and no touchdowns, does he? This is like, if Aaron Rodgers has got anything, it's his massive ego. So he's going to want, yes, he wants to win games, but he's going to want to win them putting up 250 yards and a couple of touchdowns. We'll see. I could be wrong. I could be massively wrong. My honorary mentions are, I mean, I've already thrown Jalen Waddle in there, but I've gone Chris Olave at wide receiver 31. Similar situation.
Yeah, I like that.
He's being forgotten a little bit. And I mean, he's one terrible, hospital ball away from never playing football again. But if he manages to pull together 17 games on a team that is always going to be behind and is always going to be throwing the ball, I think he is the best. He's out and out the best player on that team. And do you want to? I mean, you could tell the audience who my other one is if you've been listening for the last couple of weeks.
If you say Jayden Reed,
Jayden Reed.
You mean the Jayden Reed that's currently in a walking boot because he's not fit to play, with a quarterback that is also missing training today because he's injured.
Today
is start of August.
He's a month away,
mate. Honestly, Jayden, you need to get over Jayden Reed, mate, because he's going to disappoint you so badly.
Don't be coming there with the people who are in a walking boot when you were so adamant that Matt Stafford will be all right last week, when he's a 37-year-old man who's apparently had an epidural.
Yeah, that's come out.
So I'm like, we'll see. Right.
Out of those two picks, I prefer Chris Olave. But
yeah,
there's a lot of ifs around that pick. If he can avoid a concussion, if any quarterback in New Orleans can actually step up and throw a ball.
Just on that,
but with a quarterback, Chris Olave is an incredible player.
With the Saints, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but you throw me this way. Would you not try and pick up one of the quarterbacks, like quarterback 2 on another team that's just better than what you've got? Because there's a lot out there that are better than what you've got.
Cousins.
But that's an in-division trade, though, isn't it? Granted,
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston, like Jameis Winston.
The Falcons want the Saints need a quarterback.
Yeah,
they should bring Jameis Winston in, and they should go, listen, we know we're not going to win. Have another one of your 30-30 seasons, and at least we'll have a bit of fun along the way.
Yeah, and we'll draft our quarterback next year, because from the reports about Tyler Show, it sounds like he's having a terrible time. Spencer Rattler did nothing to impress last year. Why not just the Giants have Winston at quarterback 3 behind Russ and behind Jackson Dart. Just get him back. You know what you're going to get. At least he'll be able to throw the ball for you. It just seems.
Before we wrap this up and move on to our
I'd go for Trey Lance.
Predictions for MVP. You've just reminded me of something that has nothing to do with this, or you reminded me, Ian, when you were talking about the Steelers not conceding a lot of points, not having to score a lot of points. When you look at the schedule for week 1, when you look at the games for week 1, there's some really, really good games. Like, I'm looking forward to Eagles, Cowboys, Sunday Night Footballs, Bills, Ravens. There's like some really good games. And then mixed in there is Steelers at Jets, which has got all the makings of about 12 points in total being scored and just absolute carnage in terms of fantasy points.
Although that is a Justin Fields revenge game.
It is. That's also an Aaron Rodgers sort of revenge. So it's like that's the selling point. But I mean, if you watch that game, you're going to get about a quarter in and go, "Why am I watching this game? There's no quality on the show." Right. Let's move on to MVPs.
Yeah, we can do as soon as I get the
swoosher.
Yeah.
Such a professional organization.
Smooth. That was smooth. Nobody
will notice. Don't worry.
If you listen to this podcast or you're watching us on YouTube, you're definitely not doing it because you think I'm really into top level professional stuff. You're just waiting for the Najee Harris joke from Ian, basically. That's why you watch it.
Honestly, that was completely unintentional.
Right, we are going to go through 5 end of season awards: MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and Offensive Rookie. We're not doing Defensive Rookie because
I've done that.
Don't know enough about that.
Don't worry, I'll do the content for us for that one. Don't worry about it.
Your own little separate podcast. Why don't you do a reel and put it on TikTok or something? Then people can see.
I'll just do it at the end of this, and Ian can cut it up.
Yeah, Rach, considering you're our TikTok manager.
And we're not doing Comeback Player of the Year because I think it's a lot of bollocks. So the reason we're not doing that.
I've got 2 for that.
I've got Aiden Hutchinson. Just straight off the bat.
You didn't read the plan then, right?
I did. I've got all 5 that you thought. I've just done Defensive Rookie.
I did my prep before you sent the plan.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
shame on you. Have you done Defensive Rookie, Ian?
I have, yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Have you got a wild card for it as well?
No.
I've not done that much prep.
Lads, I will really look forward to listening to that episode when I get to it.
Smash you it.
Right. Let's do MVP. Let's kick off with a big one. Who's your favorite for MVP?
Before we all crack on for this, I'm going to assume that because we've all got the Bills winning the Super Bowl, we've all picked Josh Allen for MVP.
No.
What are we doing then?
It's based off the season.
I know it is.
It's not the playoffs.
I know it's not Super Bowl MVP. But the Bills, go on then. Well, spoiler alert. I've probably got Josh Allen.
So I've gone for someone who hasn't won it before, has the potential to have a massive season, and I think could have the season. This is how I see this player. If he has this season that I think he's going to have, I think at the end of the year we will be talking about him in the same breath as Mahomes.
Jordan Love.
It's not Jordan Love. It's Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is going into the biggest season of his career, and I think if he performs as well as he performed last year, he will be mentioned in the same breath as Mahomes, and it will be Joe Burrow's probably the best quarterback in the league.
Joe Burrow is going to have the same issue as he did last year, where if you look at statistically, he probably was the MVP in the NFL, but purely on the basis that he didn't make the playoffs, he wasn't even considered.
Yes.
And that's because of our defense. Like when you're scoring 40-odd points and losing games and not making the playoffs, I don't really think you can blame the quarterback for that.
No. And I agree with you a little bit, although it ties into me also having the Bengals making the playoffs. So on that basis, I think he's going to be in the discussion. And I think in the same way that Lamar and Josh Allen, for me, there was hard to call it last year. And I think a lot of people leant towards Josh Allen because he hadn't won it before. I could see there being a situation where we're looking at it going, this year it's Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And because Joe Burrow hasn't won it, I think he'll win a couple of crucial games. But because he hasn't won the award before, I think that he will get the votes.
Yeah, it's all. And this is why I don't agree with the season awards, because it shouldn't be playoff dependent.
No, it shouldn't.
And I'll talk to you all day. I'll talk to you all day about how
It shouldn't be regular.
But Joe Burrow,
he
wasn't robbed of the MVP last year, but the fact that he wasn't even considered because he didn't make the playoffs is an absolute joke.
Yeah, there's a lot wrong with these awards, but that's mine. You've gone Josh Allen, I'm guessing, from your setup. H, who you got for?
I went with Lamar. I just think he's going to have a really good season. I think the Ravens going to have a really good season. I think they will get to the championship game, and that's where, obviously, I've said I think Josh Allen and the Bills will win it this year. But there's just something about Lamar, and he gets a lot of love. It's the dual threat of him. Last year, statistically, he was actually better than Josh Allen, apart from rushing TDs, if I remember right. And he had more passing yards, more rushing yards. So I think Lamar will have another really good year, and I've gone him sneaking it. I think it's going to be really close, though, between the three of who we've mentioned. I was tossing and turning between the three, so I'll throw the curveball in there.
Do you know, this is one of the things that this isn't a dig at you, but this is a dig at that what you just said. It's like, oh, he was better than in all statistics apart from this one where he got absolutely buried. Like,
yeah.
So it's like,
no.
It's not like he lost 8-7. He put up twice as many rushing touchdowns as Lamar did. So I was like,
I also think
that was just I got a bit frustrated at how one-sided people thought the MVP running was last year when I thought it was pretty even.
I thought it was even. I think, to be honest with you, Derrick Henry was a big part of why Lamar didn't get it, because
I can see
theoretically,
what you're thinking this year. Derrick Henry has the drop-off. Lamar's going to have to do a little bit more. He wins MVP. I'm with you now.
Yeah.
I might change my opinion. Who's your wild card, H?
Just purely because of what I've stated before, is I think they will have a phenomenal year. I've gone Brock Purdy as my wild card, just because he's the quarterback of the team that I think could have an outstanding year. They have a comfortable schedule. They've got good players on the team, and he is the quarterback of it. I think he's going to be right up there. And then, yeah, I think he could be the one to surprise us. Who's yours, and why is it Jordan Love?
I think that's a good shout. I think the 49ers would have to have a mega year though, because he's not the star. He's not the star of that team. Where most QBs are, he's not. And I think they would have to be putting up mega points every week, and him be like really showing out.
So my argument back to that was 2 years ago, he was in the MVP running, and CMC did all the work.
Yeah,
so
I'm not saying he won't be in the running. I just think to win it over one of these other guys, I think he's going to have to. Because let's face it,
it's a wild card for a reason, though.
Yeah, one of the three that we've mentioned is going to have at least one of those three is going to have a mega year. So to beat them, he's going to have to do something special. I didn't go with Dak Prescott or Jordan Love because I didn't need the same abuse that I got on last week's episode or whenever it was. So I had to think. I thought this through. I had to think about a quarterback on a team that's got a really good defense and therefore could make the playoffs, could go on a run, and he could be
Aaron Rodgers.
And at 50-1 with Bet365, other bookies are available. I think Bo Nix is a really good shout as an outsider for MVP. It's an outsider. It's a massive outsider. But I was like, who's the team
that is a massive outsider, considering I got the Broncos finishing last in their division. So
they're not going to finish last. Ian, did you have an outsider for us?
I did, and again, no surprise, it's a quarterback because apparently only quarterbacks win the MVP. Yeah, most valuable quarterback player of the year, and it's a team that's going to go 16-1, and it's Jaden Daniels.
Okay. I mean, he was top 5 in the betting, so I'm not really sure that counts as an outsider. I didn't really include him.
He's outside the 3 that we picked.
Brilliant. Love it. Right, let's move on to offensive player of the year. I tell you what, I will kick off because mine is obvious. I can't on this episode sit there and say I think CeeDee Lamb is going to basically come in with the triple crown or whatever, and then not say he's going to win offensive player of the year. So I'm just being, whether you agree with it or not, I'm being consistent. So CeeDee Lamb for offensive player of the year.
So I was with you until you said triple crown.
Why? Let's face it. If he's going to beat Chase, he's probably going to have to do the triple crown, isn't he? So,
yeah, I don't really have much issue with you picking CeeDee Lamb for offensive player of the year. I'm just not having him. I don't think we're going to have back-to-back triple crown receivers.
Probably not.
It's rare. It's rarer than you think, and I know we've seen Cooper Kupp and Ja'Marr Chase do it within the last 5 years, but it doesn't happen often.
Probably not. He's probably just the star on the team that wins the NFC East and goes to the playoffs. Ian?
Mine's a return to form and fitness for CMC.
Okay.
So like H.R. Purdy as his outsider for MVP. That was based on the basis of CMC is going to be fit and firing. My offensive player of the year, I'm having a CMC.
That's a good shout. That's a very safe, good shout. I like it. I can see that happening. I feel like, I mean, it's hard. MVP is a quarterback award. When I was looking down this list, I was like, offensive player of the year feels like
really hard.
it's a running back award. Like it's hard for it not to be a running back. I think because of the amount of touchdowns they tend to score, a wide receiver's got to have a mega year. I mean, when you think about Ja'Marr Chase, the year that Ja'Marr Chase had last year, and he didn't win the award, it feels a bit more like a running back award. Anyway,
if he had got to the playoffs, though, we would have won it. Anyway, mine, I've gone with somebody that I've mentioned a couple of times, especially recently, Bijan. I will not ever get off the Bijan train until he retires, I think. But yeah, I've gone Bijan. I think he's going to have a monster year. I think the Falcons are going to be a little bit better this year as well, as I've mentioned. So yeah, I've gone Bijan.
Who's your outsider?
I've gone with a wild one.
How wild? Is this? Don't say wild and then go with Jaden Daniels or something.
Yeah, I've gone with Joe Burrow. No, mine. I think he's ready to have a breakout year, and I mentioned that I think it is down to his quarterback having a much better year and finding him a lot more. And I've gone with Marvin Harrison Jr. to have a huge year.
Nope.
I said this last week or the week before. It does solely depend on Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is fighting for his roster or his starting role at the Cardinals this year. I think he may have to come out slinging it, and I think he's going to have to find Marvin Harrison Jr. Who, if yeah, I knew it was a wild pick, and I'll stick with it. But I thought mine
was a wild pick, but yours is 65-1. So that's like, I mean, mine's at 60-1.
Just wait till you hear me defensive one.
Ian, who's your? Because I mean, there's not a lot we can say about these really. But who's your wild one?
The wild cards. That's what the exercise is.
Yeah, mine's and he's gonna love this, but I've got with Nico Collins.
Yeah, me. I'm sure you're flirting with me tonight. Your wide receiver rankings and now this.
Well, wait till we get to defensive player of the year and I say fucking Derek Stingley. Like I am on. And that isn't a
You're
joke.
all in on the Texans.
Well, I'm not. Well, they're not going to be great. But what I'm saying is that for the Texans to actually do anything, and I've got them winning the division, for them to do anything, it's all going to go through Nico Collins.
Right. Well, I stuck to the. I think it's going to be, but it's more likely to be a running back if it's an outside bet. And I was leaning into the fact that we think the Bills are going to win the whole thing, and I've gone with James Cook at 60-1. think he signs his contract, comes back in, has another mega year. I think it's unlikely, but I was honestly, once you get past the top 10 in that list, I was like, who can I see winning this as an outsider? So I went with James Cook, which we shall see. Right, defensive player of the year, Ian.
I've just said mine, Derek Stingley.
At 100-1. That's his odds. 100-1.
Really? He was in the running last year.
He wasn't. He never was.
Is that your favourite or your wild card?
No, that's my favourite. I think he's got it this year. So I wanted to always want like Jesse Bates or Aidan Hutchinson or maybe Bosa at the Bills now. I thought, no, I like going with corners and I like going with
75-1 on the bookies I'm looking at, about 365 odds, but that's a good shot. I've gone a little bit more. I've gone with one of the favourites. I think it's all set up for Aidan Hutchinson to take that award home this year. So he was on course to win it last year. I think he'll come back. I think the Lions will need to rely on the defense a little bit more. He's going to be as motivated as anybody on those fields, and I think Aidan Hutchinson wins it.
Well, as H has said, H thinks he's going to get comeback player of the year. Yeah, I don't think he'll get both if he gets.
No, I mean Pete's absolutely right. Like last year, Aidan Hutchinson was running away. Yeah. Aidan Hutchinson was running away with defensive player of the year last year until he broke his leg. And the only reason that I've not gone Hutch is because I think it will take him a bit of time to get back to the standard that he was, and that's why I went with him winning comeback player.
Who's your defensive player of the year, H?
Homer. I've gone Will Anderson Jr.
Okay.
I think he's going to have a monster year for the Texans. The rumours are that he's just, our O-line's terrible anyway, but he is just destroying it. You've got Danielle Hunter on the other side. I think he's going to have a monster year. And
it's not Danielle. It's not Danielle. It's Danielle.
It's Danielle. And I think,
Danielle.
I do wonder, obviously we're in training camp now. In the sort of in that sort of build up through preseason to the start of the season, you want, and even during the season, you want your defense going up against your offense and like trying to, metal sharpens metal and all that sort of stuff. But
iron sharpens iron.
Well, yeah, that was the phrase I was going for. Yeah, thanks, mate. I do wonder if your O-line's not very good and possibly a little bit low on confidence, and your D-line's really good, how much having them destroy them on a day-to-day basis is really going to benefit you as a team moving forward. But I thought that before about other teams, like the few highlights, I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, the few highlights I've seen of the Steelers, and I haven't seen many, but the few highlights I've seen, like obviously Aaron Rodgers gets the throw off, but on every occasion he would have been sacked because their D-line is absolutely destroying, especially the left-hand side of their O-line. So it's like, yeah, it's a nice catch and it was a good throw and everything else, but he would have been on the floor. So
yeah, I think one of my first seasons of watching the Texans was like, how's this O-line so bad when in training they're going against Clowney, Watt, Merciless, Cushing, and I was like, probably because they're playing them and they're just getting destroyed all the time. But I think Will Anderson's a really good player, and you drafted him free for a reason. I think he's going to have a monster year. He was close last year. I think he's going to destroy it this year.
And outsider?
Well, mine has been ruined because I've already said it was an outsider. It's 75-1 you had, or 65-1. So I've gone Stingley. Yeah,
you're going all in on the Texans.
The Texans' defense is outstanding, front to back. So on paper it is. So.
I went for a little bit more of a, we think this team's going to win the division in your Brock Purdy and thoughts, and I went with Fred Warner at 50-1.
Yeah, I like
that. Right, so that's defensive player of the year.
Wait, hold on, Ian, who's your wild card?
My wild card might be more of a safe bet than my actual pick of Derek Stingley because my wild card is Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
I don't mind that.
No, he's even. I don't think Jalen Ramsey's on the list.
I tell you what, though, Jalen Ramsey's got a good landing spot with the Steelers alongside Porter Jr. and
a defense that don't concede a lot of points and
Darius Slay. No,
how much?
150 to 1.
10 around that year.
I mean, I personally, I know I've said it, but I genuinely think that's worth a double.
Yeah. Well, off you go. That's 10.
Off you go.
10 quid. If anybody's got a charity that Ian can donate £10 to rather than just throwing it away on Jalen Ramsey, let him know. Right, Coach of the Year was really hard.
Dan Campbell for H. Nailed on. 100%.
It's just sort of much of a muchness. Like the top coaches don't tend to get it.
Yeah, because you expect it from them.
Yeah, so who've you gone with, H?
I've gone with purely.
Both. So I know where I'm up to.
Say again, sorry.
Who was your favourite and your outsider?
So my favourite, I've gone with Sean McVay of the Rams because I think the Rams are going to be outstanding. Obviously, the Matt Stafford situation drops a little what's it on that, but I still think McVay is an outstanding coach. And then my outsider is Jonathan Gannon, who is the head coach of the Cardinals, who I've said could potentially have a good year this year. The defense looks a lot better, especially on paper, and I've got a little bit of a thing that Marvin Harrison's. I keep telling myself I shouldn't keep doing it, but I think Marvin Harrison's going to have a huge year. So yeah,
and that perfectly executes my point earlier of how you'd think it would be players that it isn't, or coaches that it isn't, because McVay's 30 to 1 and Jonathan Cannon's only 14 to 1. So you can have them the other way around. Ian, who's yours?
Dan Quinn at the Commanders.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was unlucky last year not to get it.
And then potentially, yeah. And then my outside, and it's probably going to be the longest shot in the entire league, is Kellen Moore at the Saints.
And again, Dan Quinn is 40 to 1.
Really?
And Kellen Moore is only 22 to 1.
What?
So,
I think it's because you it's almost like they want someone that's going to do something different, like Andy Reid, for instance, going 14-3 and taking the Chiefs to the playoffs. Isn't that? It's Andy Reid. Whereas I think someone like a Kellen Moore even getting 6-7 wins for the Saints would be remarkable.
I think that's it. And it's like Dan Quinn's a perfect example of someone who ruined his chances of winning it this year with the season they had last year, because he's already set the bar at this is what we can do. So if he goes out and does the same or slightly better, he's not going to win Coach of the Year, is he? It's a weird award. I've gone Jim Harbaugh because I think going off the back with that, I think if the Chargers beat the Chiefs to that division, he's well in the running for that. He's also in a point where I think the league seems to love him, the media seems to love him at the moment. So I think he could well win it. And as my slightly more outside bet, I've got Shane Steichen taking no quarterback.
Oh, come off,
and turning it into one quarterback and somehow getting us to the AFC South title.
Fair enough.
Average quarterback play. Again, it's just being consistent, Ian. So
yeah.
I've said we haven't got any quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I said we're going to win the division.
I thought you were going to say Pete Carroll, to be fair, but
no, I did think about Pete Carroll. He's quite high up in the betting. Right, last but not least, offensive rookie. I assume we've all gone with the same player.
Oh,
I've gone to mix it up.
I reckon I've gone the same as H.
Oh, well, I went with Ashton Genty.
Yeah. I have not.
Okay, who have you gone with?
Have you gone with Genty, H?
No, I did it just to be different, though.
Who have you gone with?
Cam Ward.
Fair enough. I've gone Trevion Henderson.
He was my wild. Well, he was one of my 2 wild cards for it. But yeah, yeah. I honestly, I think Henderson's landing spot is just ridiculous. it would not surprise me to see him being the really well thought of at the end of this year.
And in no way has that decision been influenced by his kick return touchdown.
No. Sure. Imagine your first touch is a 100-yard kick return.
Completely impartial decision based in no way, shape, or form by that 100-yard kickoff return touchdown.
Who's your wild card then? Or did you not do one?
Give me a sec.
Let me just Google a name.
No, because I need a sec.
TreVeyon Henderson would have been my wild card. I think we need to wrap it up. I don't think we've got time for comeback play with all this comeback player nonsense.
No, I'll quickly do your defensive ones. So Abdul Carter, who is an absolute monster. I said that in his pre-draft process. Abdul Carter, and then the wild card for that is Cardinals cornerback Will Johnson, who I had him as my cornerback 1. He fell to the second round because of an injury, but apparently looked really solid. And my offensive rookie wild card was Emeka Egbuka, who apparently is also having an outstanding camp with the Bucs, as well as TreVeyon Henderson, but we've mentioned him.
I think Egbuka could have a good year, because
especially if Godwin's not quite. Yeah, if he's not quite ready, he comes in and instantly could have an impact.
Right. Anything to add before I wrap it up?
I want to have my comeback player of the year, which is going to be Nick Chubb.
You're all in on the Texans, you. I love it.
I was between Nick Chubb, Chris Godwin, or JJ McCarthy.
What's JJ McCarthy coming back from? He didn't even play a snap.
That is the best comeback ever, isn't it?
No,
Nick Chubb.
I think it's Hutch.
They have, to be fair, I think they have changed the rules.
The criteria for the award is so wide.
No, I think they've changed the rules.
Back from a tiny bit of adversity.
No, they've changed the rules on it now. There was a change at the end. Yeah, they changed it at the end of last year that you have to have come back from a serious injury, I believe. It's something like that.
Some form of adversity, because my outsider for that was Henry Ruggs.
Right, and on that, I'm going to wrap it up. We've got one more episode of rankings to do before the season kicks off. We'll also have a week 1 preview, so look out for that in your various podcast apps and on YouTube next week, when we will go through the top 10 tight ends, which will be fun. Well, the top 5 will be fun. The rest of them are just who cares? Who cares beyond the top 5? Well, that'll be a fun discussion. At JMD Pod on all the socials. If you can rate us on your podcast output, that would be good. Ideally 5-star, and put a nice comment in there. So anything like that's good. Tell your friends. As we get into the season, we'd love to grow this even more. We appreciate your support as always, and we will see you next time.